Hey everyone, it's good to take a few minutes and talk to you. I'm excited this morning because I've got three of our merchants here with me this morning, and in Walmart, the merchandisers are the people that decide what we sell, who we sell it from, which channel we sell it on, and how much we sell it for. So pretty exciting job. Being a buyer, being a DMM, a GMM is a lot of fun. It's a challenge, and I'm really excited to have three of our leaders out of merchandising here this morning. So I've got Latrice, Charles, and Anthony, and like we've been doing the last couple months, we are in remote locations. A few of us are in different parts of Bentonville, and then Anthony is out on the West Coast. So thanks everyone for joining us today. Well, Latrice, I thought I would start with you. You lead our consumable business, which is paper, cleaning, but long list categories. You can talk about those, but you've seen some pretty interesting swings, I guess would be one way to put it, over the last couple months as people began stocking up and then moved on to other phases of the way they purchased throughout the pandemic. Your categories, many of them were some of the first to be affected. So tell us about what it was like, what it was like for the team, and how have you been able to manage the business?
John, when I think about the experience we've had with customers, thinking about merchandise and how that happened over a period of time, I think about one, the strength that we have in managing things like hurricanes, managing disasters, and we use that knowledge, but it certainly wasn't enough to manage a pandemic. Our customers went through lots of phases, and I think we've talked about those a number of times. And those phases are varied and different. And so as our team thought about how to manage it, one, we had to use the expertise that we had from dealing with anything remotely like what we were dealing with. So try to get the right product at all times. The thing that I'm most proud of is that they trusted Walmart to be the place where they got the things they need. And that was it was an advantage for us as we talked to suppliers about how to get product, is the commitment that our associates had to being in stores every day.
Oh, Latrice, I'm proud of all the work that our team has done as well. You mentioned hurricanes, and someone asked me in early April what it was like being a part of the business at that time, and it's like having a hurricane, but it was happening in the entire country and all around the world at the same time, and it lasted a lot longer. And we've learned in storms and other events, our associates do rise up, and they are just outstanding people who do things that are beyond what anyone would expect. Talk a bit about the supplier relationships, what it's been like trying to manage these relationships without being able to see someone in person. You've done everything on video conference, which is different than what we've done in the past. But what was that like?
I think the thing that we found most effective is using the data and saying, it's great that you gave me this much supply. Unfortunately, I need 5 times that. And it gave us a chance, one, because our teams were together more often. So this environment has equalized our teams, meaning I have teams in California and New Jersey and New York and in Arkansas, but we're all together in our individual spaces, but together. And so as we were thinking about how to plan with suppliers, we had a more consistent process. Walmart customers are coming and they're showing up every day, and our associates are there to serve them, and we have to have product. And the combination of our consistency, our communication, and the data, I think, is what's helping us get better in stock. Obviously, we've got a long way to go. I feel like we have increased our own credibility. I feel like we've increased the trust and transparency that we have with our suppliers. And I think our associates being present and being the people who are in stores and ready to serve customers is another way that we've been able to encourage our suppliers to move with more speed.
We certainly couldn't have made the progress and been able to do the things that we did in the quarter without great suppliers. So a big thank you to all of our suppliers, and thanks for what you're doing. And Charles, you've been in merchandising and operations. You've led merchandise teams in other countries, and having a great supply chain is a really, really critical part, obviously, to running a fresh food business and a food business. And there were a couple days in there in the quarter that we just saw unprecedented sales and demand. And like Latrice said, we might have seen 2 or 3 days of sales in 2 to 3 hours. I felt like a couple of times in food, it was 2 to 3 days of sales in 2 to 3 minutes. It was just extreme for a while. What was it like, and what was it like working with the supply chain and suppliers throughout the last couple months?
One of the things I think we find out at Walmart is sometimes the best leadership is just getting out of the way and letting people do their jobs and they figure these things out. And that's exactly what happened with the merchants and the suppliers and the supply chain, because you know what, there's not a roadmap for this. And when you see the spike in demand, all of a sudden you think about, you know, oh my gosh, how do you get product on the shelf for our associates and for our customers? And so there is a lot of that supplier communication from the top all the way down, and mainly just checking on how are you doing and how can we help one another. And so these supplier communications is, you know what, let's make decisions together because we don't know where we're going on this. And you know what, we're better together when we do this. And our suppliers, I want everybody to know, have worked unbelievably hard. We still have some more work to do to make sure we get the demand for our customers, our associates.
Yeah, that's right. Everyone has, and it takes a ton of coordination. As you said, supply lines are uneven. In some cases, we decided to stop producing items so that manufacturing lines could run and produce more of the core items. And then distribution centers had to manage inbound with trucks on the lot trying to get in, and we had to prioritize things like protein when it's available to make sure we're moving as quickly as possible. The food distribution centers just did a phenomenal job. Every associate in the buildings, in all the buildings, did a fantastic job in the quarter. And then I would hate to miss our truck drivers. We couldn't do what we're doing without our fleet, and then all the third party truck drivers who helped us move product. But overall, I think you and the team have done a fantastic job making sure that customers have food available. The food supply chain at Walmart and other retailers for that matter, those are essential services, and the continuity of what you're able to do in the quarter has been impressive. One of the things you mentioned was, going where the customer is and watching demand. You can see a lot about what's going on in the country in the purchase data, and it's not like there are a couple anomalies here and there. These are big groups of people who start to purchase things differently, and you could see the phases start to emerge from March and then into April. So, Charles, what were some of the items or the categories that were interesting? Maybe is the right word when you saw the changes in what people were buying.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what, the customers and the consumer changed on a dime. When their life changes, their purchasing behaviors change, and things that you have been declining for years and years because people and the stay-at-home really act really got enforced. You know, breakfast at home became a big deal, and so you look at all food, whether it be cereal or breakfast foods in itself, right? Not the pick up on the go, the stay-at-home things, right? Started immediately changed. And the other thing I would tell you is that, man, it was not cool to bake at home for the last several years. Now it is the thing to do, right? And people are having fun with it. So, the business immediately turned around. And so you think about the shelf stable things that make people see secure, but the entertaining, breakfast, baking, those businesses flipped over almost overnight, John, and cake mix kits and things like that is that you just sit there and say, okay, this is where this is going. And the merchants working with the suppliers just become innovative. And, it's just not about getting availability. It's also become what items can we develop together, right, to make this fun and exciting for our customers when they shop and when they go home and take the product.
It's the stay-at-home projects like baking that took off. So as people change, we did see different behavior. And Anthony, you've been leading a big part of our team in our online business, and recently took responsibility for home across all the businesses. So what was it like? Let's just talk about post Easter. Easter was slower for our business than after Easter. Things really picked up as things started to stay home. So what were some of the things you saw of customer behavior that were notable?
I think it's been an amazing thing to watch as we notice the customer behaviors, which have been shifting towards online over the last few years, just been accelerated during this whole process. One of the things we notice is that home is a considered purchase category, typically sees our customers going online and researching items before they made the purchase. We really saw a huge acceleration of that. The latest data we saw was that over 90% of customers in the home category were actually researching online before they made these purchases. The other thing we noticed in the home space is that when a customer did want to buy an item, they accelerated the trend where they bought big and bulky online. It was a driving trend because they did not want to walk into the store. Also, probably the need in terms of shipping big bulky items, they didn't have as much help as they typically would. So we saw a huge acceleration of selling furniture, for instance, online. I think that actually during this pandemic, in some respects, the job is a little easier because everyone's doing basically the same things versus in the past, you had customers doing various different activities and it was harder to pinpoint. So, we've spent a lot of time looking at the internal data of where customers have purchased recently and what they're thinking. But also, actually, I'm finding myself spending more and more time on social media these days. I'm looking at Facebook in terms of trying to figure out what people have done. I'm looking at Pinterest to figure out what people are planning to do. And then I'm also spending a little bit more time on TikTok to look at what customers are trying to get the rest of their family who are in quarantine to do. And most of it involves some form of dancing. So at the bottom line, when you have the right item, I think it's magical when you compare that item with the customer needs and the problems that we can solve. And I think all of us here at Walmart are looking forward to helping our customers solve those problems.
Well, look, thanks for everyone for what you're doing. Thank you to you and your teams. Especially want to appreciate our associates and then our suppliers. Charles, like you said, the DSD suppliers who are really part of the community and part of the store. They've made a meaningful difference for all of us. But what you and the teams are doing, it means so much to so many. And I just want to again say thank you for the impact you've made and looking forward to seeing you in person at the right time. Thanks for coming on today.
Hey, thanks for having us, John. And a special thanks again to all of the associates. Thank you for everything that you're doing every day. And we're here to support you 100%. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, John. Really thrilled to be here, and really want to thank all the associates that continue serving our customers. And we made great strides and have a lot more to go, and really looking forward to going on this journey together with you.
I just want to say thank you to all our store associates being out there on the front line every day, all our suppliers who are working hard behind the scenes to make things happen. And I also want to thank our home office staff, right? It's a 24/7 job many times in this, and no one sees them. But you know what? There's a lot of people trying to make sure we're taking care of the customer and our associates out in the field.